Dr. Payal Kohli. How are you? She joins us live. Now, Dr. Kohli, we covered a lot of topics this week. You've been phenomenal. But today, you want to talk about something just as important but less seen, mental health. I know it all too well. So, Dr. Kohli, it's a deeply emotional time. Many are hurt. Many are angry, confused. What do we know about the mental health effects of protests on our community?
So, Sam, what we know actually comes from data published earlier this year from a meta-analysis. A meta-analysis is a big study that pools a bunch of little studies to look for trends or patterns that may emerge. And what we found was that the response to protests is actually similar to people's response to natural disasters or terrorist acts. And the two most common diseases that emerged in response to protests were PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, or depression. In fact, PTSD was found to be as common as up to 41% in affected areas. And the incidence of depression was increased by 7%. And this applied even to people who were not directly involved in the protests, suggesting that there may have been a spillover effect into the community. Now, what's interesting is that 2 out of the 52 studies actually showed a positive effect of the protest: decreased risk of suicide, decreased risk of depression, more togetherness, some catharsis actually coming out of the protests. So it seems that different people respond differently to the protests.
Wow. Dr. Kohli, this is such important information because the conversations we've been having are very much about the importance of mental health. Can you describe the risk factors of poor mental health so people understand why it's important to actually take care of themselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. So some of the risk factors are obvious. That's lower socioeconomic status, unfortunately, affects mental health, having interpersonal conflict, being directly affected by the violence. So if you were one of those stores that got looted, then that could affect you as well. But what I found was surprising, you guys, was that female sex actually emerged as a risk factor, as did not having children was another risk factor. And then social media use, that's an obvious one, also emerged as a risk factor.
Yeah, social media usage for me definitely amplifies my anxiety and my depression. Thank you so much, Doctor. Of course, our Dr. Kohli will be back tomorrow, continuing to provide us with information, important information about the biggest health stories in our country.